We start in Ukraine, where President Zelensky's chief of staff has resigned. Andrii Yermak was seen as the Ukrainian president's most important political ally. Anti-corruption authorities earlier searched Mr Yermak's home and office. Authorities say he's not officially a suspect in any investigation. Mr Yermak was also Ukraine's lead negotiator in talks with the United States. His departure is a blow for the Ukrainian leader, risking a disruption to President Zelensky's negotiating strategy in the current peace talks. Let's bring in our correspondent, Nick Connolly in Kyiv. Welcome, Nick. How big a surprise is this resignation?
Phil, this is a big deal and surprising. Even though we had those raids at his office and his home earlier today, it really seemed like Volodymyr Zelenskyy was going to hold on to Yermak till the bitter end. He could have fired him 10 days ago when this scandal first emerged, and he didn't. He went to speak to the parliamentarians of his own party who were up in arms and said, "It's none of your business, he is my guy, and I'm keeping him." Just for context, this is really important. This guy, on paper, is just head of the presidential administration, but de facto, he was the second person in this country. He was limiting access, even for ministers, to the president. He basically, according to sources, was limiting and controlling what Zelenskyy saw in terms of information. This was someone who could decide the fate of ministers at will. So the fact that he is gone, that is a major, major deal. And it's also very embarrassing, obviously, for President Zelenskyy that he held on to him and has now had to row back on that and, basically sacrifice Yermak for his own political survival.
So he was the top negotiator in peace negotiations. So now he's gone and there are all these corruption allegations swirling around him. What effect is that likely to have on those negotiations?
I mean, obviously, it is going to be very difficult to replace him because this was someone who was essentially more important in terms of negotiations than Ukraine's foreign minister. He had back channels to security advisors, to foreign ministers, to foreign leaders, so that is obviously a big hole. But equally, I think the alternative in terms of the reputational risk, and that is what President Zelenskyy said. He said that he didn't want speculation around this topic. He tried to basically let Yermak kind of save face and basically thanked him for his work and let him go without blaming him for anything. But the damage in terms of reputation was getting too big. And secondly, inside the country, because right now we're in a situation where basically the opposition doesn't play politics, party politics, while the war is going on. They don't, directly challenge President Zelenskyy, but in return, they, are expecting some kind of transparency. And I think this was becoming increasingly unmanageable. And had Yermak not gone, you might have seen Ukrainian parliamentarians, the opposition, calling maybe for Zelenskyy to go, or being a lot more challenging in a situation where Ukraine basically needs to get together to face these really tough negotiations with Trump and the Russians. So I think it is difficult, but the alternatives would have been a whole lot worse.
Thanks for that, Nick. Nick Connolly in Kyiv.